Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. On this video I'm going to be fixing this K760 that I've got. As you can see straight away, there's no pull cord on it. There's a couple of other issues, but I've sort of diagnosed most of it, and I think I'm ready to just basically strip it apart, rebuild it. But yeah, I'm not going to show you to the left of the camera because there's a lot of junk pushed to the side. Like other projects and that, but you know what they say, thou shalt start new project before finishing ye oldie project, something like that. Anyway, we're close, but yeah, let's get on with it. So handily, everything is like on a little Torx bit, a T27 mainly. So I've already taken this all off, so that just comes off. This sort of filter housing then pops off, and then that rubber normally sits on this side of the casing, so that pops off. It catches on the primer. There's just one bolt holding this on. Right, so some of you that know these machines will know there's a plastic cover missing from there, which I've bought. It's quite inexpensive if you are missing one. I've taken the two little prongs off, which bite onto the pull start. They're here. As you can see, one of the springs is broken. So what I've done is I've bought two new springs, and I think I bought two new bolts or spacers, something like that. Let's get the box of bits. It might not look like it, but this little box of bits here was about £80 worth. So yeah, we're going to get underway now. So I'll find the bits that I need and I'll show you how to do it. So because I forgot how these went, so that's how it goes on there. And when you pull start it, the little teeth here, the tooth there, so catches on that. Now the way to install it, the bolt goes through, then the little washer, in this case is like a spacer. That's the new spring. You can actually see on these where it's binged, so you can see the line there. So that goes over, and essentially the washer just spaces the spring so it doesn't bite on it, which someone actually took it out, which is how that one got broken. So that's both of the pull start sort of mechanisms back on. I was checking this and I could hear it sounds a bit rough. So I used a socket on there, 19mm socket on there, the impact gun, and I didn't think to check which way round it goes. And what it did, when I held the other side, there's a little spline like dowel there, and annoyingly it sheared the dowel off on the flywheel. So I looked online, I can get a second-hand one for about £10, so I'm going to replace this flywheel because obviously you can't have it without a spline there. And what is most irritating, as I say, is it's not removable, so that is part of the casing. I've never actually seen one that's part of the casing like that. So anyway, I've got one of those. Well, I'm just sort of trying to buy one now on eBay, and we'll sort that out next week. But in the meantime, I did think it was seized, but I worked out it's the other way round. So let's give it a go. We're gonna righty tighty, lefty. No, it'll be lefty righty. Something like that, I can't remember. Anyway. So, that's that off, that's all good. Now, but what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take the end of this off and I'm going to check the bearings in the sort of drive shaft thing of it. Check the belt as well. So to get that off you have to undo those two. And then there's a Torx bit down there and should be one in there. That will take that cover off as well. We can check that end. So yeah, we'll whip that off. So when taking this off, obviously I've undone those 2 bolts there, which is loosen that off. Undoing these 2 13mm bolts from there and there. Once it's on there, that will literally just slide out. That's the tensioner there as well. So to get this little centrifugal brake off, you have to take this 13mm bolt out the middle. It's a normal thread on it, and then there's, on this older saw, there's Phillips screws here, but on the newer saw, they're Torx screws. Right, so that's off now. I basically just wanted to check these bearings, and I'll give this a good clean up as well when I'm here. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that they're all free, because you can't check it really with that clutch or the brake on. So for cleaning, I'm just using a wire brush. Gets off most of it. There's an airlock somewhere which isn't allowing this to come back out. It's just, although you can see it's getting stuck there, so somewhere there's an airlock and I've got to try and work out what it is. That screw there, that sort of releases this housing, and then that's connected, or it releases the carb as well, look. But that's connected to the primer, so we'll disconnect that. So for starters, as soon as I remove the carburetor, this filled straight back out, so either the carb's blocked or the inlet's blocked. So before I take this apart, what I've just done is blown it all out. I used some brake cleaner, sprayed it all over it, and then just blew it off. At least it gets most of the loose debris off and it keeps it clean. You're going to clean it anyway, but it's sealed, so it shouldn't be a problem. So I've cleaned it all out, but a tip that I like to do every time I clean a carb, I basically check all the ports that there's with brake cleaner. So I just pour a little bit of brake cleaner on, well I spray a little bit of brake cleaner on every port, and I see if brake cleaner comes through at the sort of multiple points on the carb. Because you can blow through them, but you can't really tell a lot of the time when they're as small as this, you can't tell if they're clear or not. So yeah, with the brake cleaner that works, especially like that one there, that is probably about 1/2 mil, if that, maybe. That's the carb all back together. I've cleaned the inlet manifold out as well, so it goes on this way round. So while it's all in bits, I've cleaned this all out. I covered those up, but they've come out. I checked the kill switch, because these are a common fault on these. They're really simple, so I'm not really sure what breaks. It's probably that prong breaks off. But I've just put a new filter in. That's the old one. So you have to get it in, you have to lift this little metal thing. You've got to twist it and try and get it off there. Then the pipe will just come off the end of that. And then you put a new one on and try and squidge it back down again, basically twisting it and squidging it. So that can go back in there now. That's it. I drained the fuel out of it as well. Cleaned the fuel cap. The rim of here was all dirty, so I did that. So I put that pipe on, making sure it won't get pinched. I've got the throttle on on the choke mode, and you can see this little metal clip there. When it's on choke, it allows it to be slightly further in, so it's easier to get to. So all I need to do is put the pipe on that, and then put the primer back in. It's a bit of a wiggle, but you don't want it to obviously bind, so as I was putting it in, I was sort of pulling the throttle, pulling the choke in and out, because it's got to line up with the choke. Just giving it a wiggle, trying to line the inlet manifold up, so I can screw that on there now. So now we've got it all back together. I topped the fuel up now. Let's see if this works. So far so good. So yeah, there must have been a blockage somewhere in it, because that last time kept, it wouldn't fill up. Brilliant, so that's fixed now. This is the clutch, the centrifugal clutch that goes on the other side. It's a left-handed thread. I think I might have got it on video, but you can hear how bad the threads are in that, the bearing is in that. So what we're going to do is replace the bearings. So they knock out really easily. They come out this side because there's a lip in there, you can see. The bearings are 6001s. We've got SKF, of course. Bearing Boys helped us out with those. While I was getting bearings as well, we decided to get bearings for the disc end of this, so I'm going to just strip that down and whiz those in there. Same sort of thing. I'm not going to bother videoing that, but now I'm just going to push these in here using my vise one by one. So that's the new bearings on. Slides on there. Then there's a washer that goes on, and then the clutch goes in. So you can see there's two sides to this. One's got a higher raised bit. That obviously goes to the top. So we're just putting the airbox sort of mounts on now on the top of the saw. So this little rubber that goes through, just got to pull it back through. I nearly forgot to put the new spark plug in, so I'll put the spark plug in first. Right, so that's the grey cover all on now, ready to put the air filter cover on, which is this. The air filter slides in from the bottom, and there's like a little clip that hooks over the side of the casing. Annoyingly, you can't put the air filter in first because I like the idea of locating it in this housing first. But you can't do that, so you have to do that first. Then you can put this in, sort of slides in there, and then if you give it a good wiggle, you can get it to go down, and when you tighten those screws up, it'll pull itself into it. So now the freshly cleaned cover can go back on. Put the three screws in there. So to re-rope the pull cord on this, you've got to spin it in the way that you would pull it out. So obviously the rope comes out there, so this would go that way, which as you're looking at it is clockwise. So you've got to literally just wind it up, because it'll wind back. You can see it sort of winds back. For something like this that I don't know the length of the cord, I wind these as much as I can, feed the cord through, and then let it wind the cord in and see how it feels, see if it binds it up, and then I'll cut it and then put the handle on. So I'll show you that right now. So there's a knot in one end near my thumb, as you can see. So as I wind this in, this should stay taut, and basically obviously you don't want the handle to be floppy, so we'll let it do its thing. So that's one turn, two turns, three. So we'll just check it now. So what's handy about this one is it's got this little groove here, so you can wind it backwards, so it will jump the spring. You basically want to have it just so it sort of is an arm's length pull and comfortable, because there's nothing worse than having a short throw on something. And then you can just slide in the new Husky thing. Also worth noting that when I do these, I put a little washer inside the pull cord, and sometimes in this end if I can. It stops it from pulling through the cord, because the amount of times it will pull through the cord is infuriating. But yeah, that's all done now. So don't do like I nearly just did and tried forcing it through the wrong way. I thought that was a little sleeve, but it's part of the shaft. So it's quite handy really though, because you don't need to worry about the depth. So we've got 2 new SKF bearings, we'll just press these on. So I guess what we can do is, so I've done new, I might actually shorten that a little bit, but we've got new cable on the pull cord, the plastic cover that covers the flywheel, that's new air filter and fuel filters, the new spark plug. We've had these bits were missing when I bought it, so new, like the end bits, the drive bits. I've cleaned the carb, we've done a new pipe on it as you saw, new thing on there. It's yeah, it's good, it's ready to use. So that's another project finished now, thank God. It's another one off the list of the never-ending list. Yeah, I'm really pleased with how it works. Seems to work really well, and it's saved another sort of piece of equipment from the scrap, so that's good. But yeah, until the next one, take care. Wow, look at this, look, that's some flying anaconda turd if I've ever seen it. What on earth is that? Brilliant.